The Misunderstood Speckled Python by Frank Donnelly. In a land where a giraffe might wear a suit and wrigglers have 4 eyes, things can go from tranquil to hectic in an instance. A curly-browed longsnout can jump on a speckled python as a translucent octopod loses concentration and gets himself in a pickle. Down the path, at the bottom of the garden, is a special place where not very usual creatures live in a not very usual world. On the left of the very messy shed is an opening in the bushes, which can be hard to see unless you are looking very, very hard. You may see a very tall giraffe wearing a beautifully tailored and smart-looking suit. He likes to look smart. He loves to look in the mirror. Not so far away stands an orange tree from which hangs a speckled python. It has bright green eyes and a very long, forked tongue. The python spends the day dangling from a branch so he can be as tall as the giraffe in a suit. In the distance, amongst the rocks, lives a curly-brow longsnout who has big eyes and an extra long nose. The longsnout is nosy and very brave. A creature that is the same but different to the other one is the green four-eyed wriggler. The other one is blue. The green one is curious and alert, and the blue one is not. Sometimes you can see, and sometimes you can't, a translucent octopod who has a yellow hat and many arms. Occasionally, he doesn't concentrate and is often quite forgetful. One day, as things were going on as usual in this not-so-usual place, a very loud rumble could be heard. A cloud of dust appeared from near the orange tree, and the ground shook all round. All the creatures scuttled, galloped, and crawled towards the thunderous sound. There was great panic and anticipation that something dreadful had happened. The red curly-brow longsnout jumped onto the speckled python, who was dangling from the orange tree. The four-eyed wriggler shouted, "Oh no! The python is trying to catch the translucent octopod with his long, very long tongue." The giraffe in the suit stretched out his neck and stared into the bright green eyes of the python. He distracted him from the octopod. The longsnout pulled the dangerous forked tongue out of reach. Phew! That was close. The four-eyed blue wriggler was relieved that his friend had been saved. But as the blue wriggler said those words, the translucent octopod fell down the rock face and was unable to stop. The loose rocks tumbled down with the falling octopod amongst the dust and dirt as he vanished into a hole. He could not be seen in the mess and the mayhem. The octopod called for help as the speckled python dropped from the tree with determined speed and disappeared down the hole, pouncing on the translucent octopod. The longsnout stuck his nose down the hole to see what he could see. The giraffe in the suit watched from overhead, and the four-eyed wrigglers still had dust in their eyes. They hadn't seen what happened. As the dust settled, all the creatures held their breath, feeling anxious about what they might see. A part of the speckled python's tail was laying out on the ground near the opening. The longsnout couldn't see what was happening, even though his nose was in the hole. It was dark. What had happened? Had the speckled python caught the translucent octopod? Was it too late? Suddenly, the longsnout jumped back as the bright green eyes of the speckled python appeared in the darkness of the hole. "What have you done with our friend?" shouted the blue wriggler. As the speckled python moved, the tip of a yellow cap appeared, and from the darkness, wrapped by a very long forked tongue, was the octopod, gasping for air. Then something remarkable happened. The speckled python unravelled his very long forked tongue from around the translucent octopod and placed him gently on a rock. The onlookers watched in disbelief because they were convinced that the speckled python had harmed their friend. No one ever thought the speckled python was trying to save him from falling deep into the hole. They thought the exact opposite. The speckled python always knew the other creatures were afraid of him, and so began to slink away. "Stop! Don't go!" called the giraffe in a suit. The speckled python turned as the longsnout rushed to him and said, "You saved our friend from a disastrous end, and we should celebrate by having a picnic underneath the orange tree." "We can't celebrate without the hero of the day, so please join us," pleaded the four-eyed wrigglers. The translucent octopod hoped he would stay. The speckled python turned and slowly slid away, climbing the orange tree. Everyone was very disappointed and sad that the python had not stayed with his new-found friends. However, the creatures had once again misunderstood the speckled python's intentions. With his very long forked tongue, the python reached out and picked an orange for each of his new friends. They could celebrate the rescue of the octopod, the courage of the speckled python, and their newly formed friendships. "3 cheers for the speckled python! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray!" It was a good end to an exciting day, and so all the creatures returned to their comforts. The giraffe in a suit stood in front of the mirror. The long snout busied itself being nosy, and the four-eyed wrigglers stretched out on the rocks. The speckled python hung from the branch on the orange tree, and the translucent octopod just smiled.